Megan Roulston.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to my long-term submission. My name is Megan Roulston and I live in South Shore with my husband Tim and our two boys Hector and Francis. I've recently been involved on the HOW team, a group established to write an engagement strategy for Regenerate Christchurch on how to talk to South Shore and South New Brighton about coastal hazards and the red zone land. I'm also on the board of the Bridge South Brighton Trust, establishing a new multi-use community facility in an area which lost all its shops and services to the earthquakes. But today I'm just speaking to you as a South Shore resident. I have supplied a photo of my home on Rock and Horse Road. It's a home to 4 people, just one of the nearly 500 families living in South Shore. I'm new to civics and I did find it very difficult to read the long-term plan, but these are just the things that are important to me. South Shore is an asset to Christchurch. It's both an outstanding environment and an amazing community. It should be seen and promoted as such. Christchurch City Council has an opportunity to be leaders in adaptive planning. But it is of great concern to me that there is no acknowledgement of the regeneration strategy for South Shore, South Brighton and the infrastructure strategy. There needs to be funds available to implement the regeneration strategy, and I ask that sufficient funding be allocated. I ask that you make a commitment and allocate funding for permanent flood protection in South Shore and South Brighton. I look toward my neighbours across the estuary and see a well-engineered seawall on Beachville Road at a cost of, I think, around $8 million, protecting, I think, around 140 houses. And I'm aware of the $26 million or so spent on flood protection on Flockton Basin and Dudley Creek, protecting around 585 homes. Are the nearly 500 families in South Shore, not to mention the families in South Brighton, deserving of similar protection? If not, why not? Christchurch City Council has a duty to provide protection. South Shore could be promoted as a tourist destination if you add us to the Coastal Pathways cycle network. Build a track to the end of the spit and connect it to the cycleways along the river to the city. It's already a well-used walking and cycle area, possibly better used than the Sumner Causeway track. Because the high flood management zone in the district plan used a 1 metre sea level rise, it has resulted in onerous planning restrictions that the public were not fully aware of at the time the plan went through its truncated process. The engagement on this was disgraceful and has had a significant negative impact in well-being on our community. I know of families who have tried to extend their homes and have been denied. I know people trying to build on bare land where there used to be a house prior to the earthquake, and they've been denied. Yet when the district plan went through, my understanding was that there was a residential unit overlay put on South Shore. The hearings panel found that the risk of flooding in South Shore was linked to sea level rise, and therefore the risk to life was not imminent, and thus it wasn't necessary to avoid building, and that planning rules could be restricted discretionary. But that's just my layperson's understanding, and clearly it's not what's happening, as council are using the high flood management rules to deny building. It appears to the community that you want retreat by stealth. If adequate flood protection was in place in South Shore, it would have a dramatic effect on the consent rules. My understanding is that other areas in Christchurch do not have such restricted planning rules as South Shore because they have seawalls that negate the need for mitigation of flooding. Because South Shore has no protection, each individual new or extended property has to reinvent the wheel to provide their own mitigation for consent. The building of an area-wide flood protection system will allow area-wide mitigation. This will provide some evidence that, by council own reasoning, indicates a risk reduction and in turn can influence problems around the provisions of consent. I want a commitment from Christchurch City Council that you will engage properly and effectively on coastal hazards, and that the engagement will result in action that is reflected in the district plan and other documents, and this will require adequate funding. I sadly believe that some councillors and council staff view the residents of my area as an obstruction to coastal management, and this could not be further from the truth. We've stood up against maladaptive processes that are short-sighted, and we've had inadequate community consultation. We're passionate about our area. We have considerable local knowledge. We have been and still are crying out for engagement on adaptive planning solutions. Solving problems means listening. Inside every problem lies an opportunity, and I want South Shore to remain a vibrant community with a future for my children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I mean, it's just taken us to the end of your time. Yeah, there's enormously challenging issues in that presentation, and part of it's in relation to the long-term plan, which is very, very relevant. But the other part that you speak to is the process that we go through around regeneration planning, with some elements red zoned and others not, and then the two sides, the estuary side and the coastal June side. So yeah,
yes, my concern with the long-term plan was, and I don't really know how to read it, but I couldn't see any funding, and therefore the actual implementation of any regeneration strategy. Yeah,
it's probably hidden in budgets around things like sort of stock banks and various other bits of work. But no, I mean, we're going down this process with a purpose in mind. So. But not an end point in mind. So it's I want to kind of reassure you around that.
There's no preconceived ideas.
No, there isn't. And I have to say that, and I have to confess that I've been picked up now twice on not picking up certain words that were included in the plan. So I didn't see the word retreat in there, and I know it is in there, and it shouldn't have been. It should have been language around we don't yet know what options are going to be considered, because we as a council under the Local Government Act cannot go to an end point. We have to consider options, and
that is certainly helpful, because language is
language is really important. And I apologise if I had seen the word, I would have insisted it had come out. It just instructs me that I have to read every single word in future. But it does, I want to make it clear that adaptive management is the approach that this council has endorsed and will continue to endorse, certainly while we sit round the table. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is a gorgeous house. In fact, I've seen it. I've seen that house.
Thank you.
Elizabeth.